I was there for 2007, 8, 9 downturn, which was a really drastic adjustment to the market where we were, especially in El Dorado Hills, because we were so heavily real estate focused. Those guys, everyone took a really big hit. And it also created a lot of humility, during that time. So, and also ultimately when I left, there was a lot of humility to it as getting too big too fast, making very good money, having all the responsibility, being a 27-year-old now managing and running very talented 40, 45, 50-year-old men who've been doing this their entire career.
Yeah.
I needed to be clipped, and that's okay to say out loud. I really did.
20 to 30 sub-trades per job.
$35,000 a
You
week.
will be licensed 10 years next year.
You've mastered the trade. Now you need to master the business. All right. Welcome to the Build Line. This is
Thank
episode
you.
12. We got a great guest. I'm Jerry, and this is Heather. Heather, take it away.
Yeah, right here across from us, we've got Robert Laird III here to both represent, Dios Azul, talk a little bit about tequila, talk about branding, business, how you got here. Rob, why don't you give us an intro? Tell us more about the man.
Appreciate it. First of all, great job with this.
Thank
Very
you.
proud to see what you guys have built. I've been following you guys for over 5 years or so and watching you grow. It's been very exciting and great list of guests so far, so I'm happy to be here. It's an honor. So Robert Laird, as you mentioned, the third. I made a fourth, too. He's around.
It's Robert in 2026, by
Yes,
the way.
forgive me.
Everybody should
Well,
know.
it's Robert now that I'm 40. So, yeah, now that I'm 40. But I'm born and raised here in Northern California, right here in El Dorado Hills, Shingle Springs, Cameron Park area. So didn't get far. Went to Ponderosa High School and then ended up getting very quickly into business and sales when I realized it was my passion to talk to people, work with people, sell things. And as I was putting myself through community college for business, it quickly realized that I was making more than most of my professors and probably more than the pharmaceutical sales reps I thought I might become one day. Which has become an ironic story because I'm in pharmaceutical now as an owner. But at the time, the car business became a really big passion for me. I did that in high school. My senior year, I got involved with a Cadillac store close to Ponderosa when a general manager took a risk on an 18-year-old. I just turned 18, so I'd change out of my school kid clothes into khakis and a polo in the parking lot and then go sell cars from like 2 to close. And then every weekend, and became pretty talented at that. Moved into Mercedes-Benz there in El Dorado Hills, our beautiful store that's been there since 2003, which is right around when I got in the car business. 2004, I switched and ended up at Mercedes, and then quickly became a finance director within a year, and quickly became a general manager there for almost the better half of a decade after that. So. Very lucky to have cut my teeth in a business that gives you a lot of complexities, right? Between back office, fixed ops, sales, branding, one of the best brands in the world. The best or nothing was our mantra.
Yeah.
And I've really sort of maintained all of those great skill sets and mindsets about taking care of customers, taking care of making the hospitality experiences above everything else, and then trying to create champions of the brand. And at the time, this is 2004 to 2014. Got married, had children as well at the time. 2010 had my first son. 2012 had my second son. So a busy decade.
Yeah.
Busy decade. Ended up in a divorce, so that turned into a single father role on top of building business and trying to find my way. And then quickly became a finance GM, and then moved on to BMW for some time. And then right around that 15-year mark of really killing it for some great groups was where I started to get the itch, the entrepreneur itch, right? So
You know what I think is, to interrupt,
Yeah, no, go.
so we don't get too far.
Yeah.
The car sales, I think, is what every young man should do.
Absolutely.
If you're not going to go to the military and take some other route or go to college, you need to
Yes.
go sell cars for a couple of years, because hanging out with these old guys and some guys that have been around, and I think you and I sold around the same years, it'd be 2003, 2005-ish. I worked for John L. Sullivan at the Auto Mall
Know
in
the boys
Roseville.
very well. John.
Sitting out on the point and calling ups with these
Yep.
guys and having to wear a suit and tie and
Yep.
being out in the sun, bell to bell. I mean, that creates
Character build.
a lot. It'll break you in many ways, And those guys are out there to break you. They're not
they
to be
are.
your friend. They're when the getting was good in the early 2000s. There's 25 guys standing out there.
Yeah, and a lot of money on the line.
Yeah, and they're not playing around. And if you're young and have a boyish face, they're gonna get you.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But
you can imagine this coming in at 19 into a pedigree of salespeople.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very intimidating. And luckily, I had the vice president, Rhett Snyder, and I had so many wonderful mentors through all this. I think is something to really mention. But it was very cutthroat. And they did not want to see that. I mean, I was the top sales guy that year, the very first year there. That was, they gave away a Rolex to the top guy. So that was my first Rolex.
Probably didn't make you a lot of friends.
No, but you know what? And then,
You weren't there to make friends.
I wasn't there to make
No.
friends. It was a good camaraderie. We had the same guys for the same probably 10 guys for over a decade. And that was one thing that George, who owned Grenswich, who owned Von Hausen, did, is he created a really good synergy. So again, all of these things that in my at least in my world, and we're going to get into how the entrepreneur stuff goes and the businesses I have now, it all stems from really good leadership. And taking, like you said, the time in those adolescent or post-adolescent.
It's like a base.
It's
a real good base.
You need it, and it can't come easy. Oh. And you see that in this generation today, where it's like nobody wants to put in the time to be in the trench. And nothing forges you more than time in the trench and at-bats, right? Like I've seen thousands of deals, tens of thousands now. Like, you can't beat me on a negotiation. Like, I have seen it and heard it all. But it took 10 years. Now, luckily, I was able to make a really good living along the way. Right. What you would consider, what most people would consider a very good living. And you're working in that aspect, in that realm, what was such a huge advantage for me. And as we talk about branding and how I felt comfortable moving into other sectors of the market, is I was dealing with the top entrepreneurs in the market. That was the biggest advantage to that particular brand for me, is every developer, every attorney, every doctor, you name it, every insurance group, owner of the insurance groups is who I got to deal with. And they're giving me their personal information. They're buying multiple cars a year. They're calling me last minute to solve problems. I was there for 2007, 8, 9 downturn, which was a really drastic adjustment to the market where we were, especially in El Dorado Hills, because we were so heavily real estate focused. Mm-hmm. Those guys, everyone took a really big hit. And it also created a lot of humility, during that time. So, and also ultimately when I left, there was a lot of humility to it as getting too big too fast, making very good money, having all the responsibility, being a 27-year-old now managing and running very talented 40, 45, 50-year-old men who've been doing this their entire career. Yeah. I needed to be clipped. And that's okay to say out loud. I really did.
Lifestyle creep happens, and your ego gets big.
Totally.
And I was just talking to somebody the other day. They were telling me how much money they were making, and I go, pay attention. Because all of a sudden going to Whole Foods is going to be normal.
Yeah.
You were going to Winco, and now you're like, just go down and get this. And
it's all organic.
Yeah.
No problem.
I'm not going to eat there. All of a sudden it'll be 10 years since you've been to a McDonald's, you know, and you're like, well, I don't have enough money. Well, that kind of was, on you. So watch out, pal.
Yeah.
Lifestyle creep is for real.
For real.
Especially when you're young and people start handing you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's
and that was my reality.
Yeah.
Imagine making $200,000-$300,000 at 22, 23 years old in that time.
Yeah.
And then you're in a room with people that are making 10x. Right. So then there's this feeling of I need to keep up and I need to.
Those guys
you need to keep going.
Are all right. It's those guys that aren't that he's in the room with.
Yes.
That get inside your head if you let them. And then when you're 25, it's hard to not let a 50-year-old man that's a little jealous of you get and live inside your head for a second. They've been doing it for 30 years. They know what to say.
Yeah.
They can live inside your head rent free.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it was I'm so blessed for that chapter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better. I would choose that over
it's the university.
Harvard. I'd choose that over a Harvard degree any day of the week.
100%. I agree.
You can't, for all of those reasons. Understanding the psychology of the sales and dealing with really talented guys and then becoming, these chess matches, every day you get to kind of be involved with. So
Yeah, and you get it where the clients, you get somebody into finance. Some people cry.
Oh,
They can't handle, buying
No,
cars and things. And
finance director was my favorite role. And so that's the progression in that
Yeah.
business. It's, liner, closer per se, and then into finance. If you get into finance, that's the golden ticket. And of course, being the arrogant young pup I was like, I'm not staying here forever. If they think I'm not going to be a manager, I'm going to be a manager. And I remember I took an immediate pay cut and had all the responsibility and of course all the drama and expectations put onto my shoulders when really I had a very sweet. So a lot of learning, a lot of fun learning opportunities for me that have helped forge kind of where, why later in life when I decided to take the plunge into entrepreneurship, I really had the skill set.
yeah, you're able to size people up right away.
Yeah.
They walk in, you find out a business owner, now we're dancing this way.
Yeah.
If they're, working for me, it's a different way.
Yep.
And I could see how that could really help you with everything else you've done and set that foundation.
And then finally turning from producer to how do I train people to produce, right? And we look at some of the greatest producers out there, sports, entertainment, you name it, and there's for some that's a really hard transition, right? It's like there's a reason why Michael Jordan never went on to coach. Really, it's because he's like, I just can't figure out why you can't make the jump shot. What's the problem? Just make the jump shot. How do you show people how to do it? And then the best leaders in the world, of course, are, do as I do, not as I say. And and I've done your jobs. I know what you need to do. This is what worked. This is why you're following my lead.
Yeah.
And so that helps you be a much better leader. And of course, I've carried that same mantra or strategy for all these years. So anyway, I'll try to move on. So we got moved into entrepreneur. Go ahead, sorry.
No, so catch us up on where you're at
we're at
now,
today.
where you're involved in. You made this jump.
This is 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
Made the jump into entrepreneurship. After doing retail, got into banking with one of the larger banks. So that was a great corporate spin for me, going over to Ally Financial, which was GMAC, and handled offshore accounting and reinsurance plans. So basically acquisitions of new stores, back end, and then offshore reinsurance, which is a complex way of basically saying they bankroll everything in Turks and Caicos. They make all the money, and then they cover their own outstanding liabilities and service contracts, stuff like that. So an interesting conversion and a really good learning opportunity. But that had a big ceiling, and it was certainly a pay cut at the time, which would have seemed like a great stable thing. But I was like, all right, I'm 31, 32. I've been doing retail, sales for 14 years, 15 years, since I was 16 in sales. And it's time to start betting on myself, right? And the kids were getting a little older. It was still a little risky for me. And I had a really good opportunity of moving into real estate development and real estate lending to start with One Source Capital Group. So that was in El Dorado Hills. Had a great partner who moved up from Newport and had been, in banking himself since '01. And this is one of those great stories where you're able to sort of moonlight a little bit, right? And not the side hustle, but it was sort of the side hustle to begin with. And I just sat across from someone who had done something for over a decade, 12, 14 years at this time, and just listened.
Would you call that like a mentorship, or did you have any of those during that transition there to kind of, or was this all in your head?
That's a great way to describe it. It became, obviously we were going to leverage the assets and my Rolodex from the area, right? So we met in Pee Wee football where I was coaching his son. So now happens to be a star quarterback for Oak Ridge, so we didn't get far either. It's been nice to watch him grow, but he was a talented player on the Pee Wee football team I coached for Folsom, where my kids were playing, and one of those days where I met him and I go, nice watch, nice car, where you from? Don't recognize you.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do? Kind of a Wolf of Wall Street moment, actually. He showed me a check for $75,000. And it was kind of just like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna be in your office on Monday. I want to see what you do. And he had just opened One Source. That was his brand. We came in pretty lean at the time. He had just opened it up and relocated. So he was getting his bearings on the area. And, this is a small area, so it's all about who you know and building up those Rolodex, and I happen to have the Rolodex.
Yeah.
So here we had a new business opportunity in lending, 2012, 2013, I guess at the time. 2015, 16 at the time, 9 years ago. And so things had made some corrections. The market's pretty strong at that time, finally recovered from 08, 9, 10, 11, 12, and our area was booming in that sense on the building side. So a lot of construction loans is what we focused on, commercial lending and construction, which was more appealing to me than going in and doing real estate, like SFR stuff. That wasn't ever going to be my jam. You weren't going to, sitting at an open house was not something that appealed to me. No disrespect to our great realtors in the area, but that really intrigued me was deal structure, and then that was what his forte was. So big commercial real estate deals, hospitality, multifamily, SFR infills. And so we quickly built a nice book of business for about 12 developers, and that's what we focused on. So for the last 10 years, that's what I've been really focusing on is the backbone of my day-to-day is building out those projects. And then now pivoting into and scaling into construction ourselves, ownership ourselves, running the full capital stack, so bringing in private equity when it's needed on the 1 yard line, finishing it off with the debts that's required to get that project to the finish line, and then securing permanent financing or offloading that asset. So that's what I do now, and I've been doing that. We've actually funded hundreds of millions of dollars, no shit, which is wild to say, but that's true. Got some wonderful projects now that are going vertical. These things take longer. It's a longer sales cycle. So for us car guys, I was always looking for what's that next? I needed another downline. And luckily health and fitness was always something that was a big focus of my life balance wise, on social media, which I was able to create a really good brand on there. Laird Life, it's just sort of just a personal brand. That showcases lifestyle and fatherhood and business entrepreneurship and fun and all that stuff and fitness. Got into peptides and TRT 9 years ago. Of course, it's wildly untaboo now, but at the time it was.
Yeah.
Right? And that's through Prime Body. So Prime Body is owned by another partner of mine named Nick Limshire. So my two main gigs at the time, and I've done a few things, thrown a few things against the wall since, were those. Yeah, Prime Body, TRT. All doctor prescribed, all 50 states, 10,000 patients. It's really, really, very, very cool. Yeah, delivered right to your door.
Nice.
Right to your door. And then, of course, we'll dive right into where we ended up, capturing sort of these Slumdog Millionaire moments in life, right? All of these interactions, all of these skill sets. There was a big stint during COVID. Where I pivoted into CPG placement, so consumer packaging goods, basically, but under diagnostics, basically running COVID tests through Walmart, Walgreens, Kroger, and then huge contracts with the government.
And you just saw this opportunity when it happened.
Yeah, you know what it was? It was a similar oh shit moment as like 09, 08.
Okay.
Where it was like, oh my God, we had, and at the time, this is April of 2023, February of 2020 when COVID hit, and we had
So real estate's kind of taking a pause. I mean, deals are going
sideways.
Yeah.
We had 42 million set to close in assisted living projects, which thank God are now under construction and being done here in July. But you see the
lag
there. They vaporized just before they're about to close. The lenders basically freaked out, closed up, and we were on the 1 yard line after 7-8 months of working the deal, nurturing it. So I'm like, okay, here we go, all over again. It's the world, the sky is falling. Let's get ahead of it this time. Instead of sitting like I did when I was running Mercedes, I didn't have these opportunities, downlines. I didn't have the skill sets, and I was still compartmentalized who I am. At the time, back then, I was just a car guy.
Right.
I was going to be a car guy. That was it. I can't do two things.
Yeah.
I
think most
Who does
people-
that?
Yeah.
Who does that?
Who does that? That's a lot.
it's a lot.
People are okay with just the one, right?
Yeah.
But it's there's this, we talk about it. It's there's this fuel of there's more. I got
There is
more.
more.
There's more in the tank.
There's
What can I
more.
put out there?
Precisely. But generationally, our parents didn't think like that. My dad was born in 1950, so they were born, raised to work, go to school, work in your cubicle, retire at 65, take your retirement, and hope it all works out. There wasn't a lot of side hustles in the 90s for most people. And now you see a lot more of it.
That's funny. I grew up in a house of side hustles. My
Did you?
parents always had
I wish I
side.
had
My
some
grandpa had side hustles. My dad had side hustles. My dad was 58, and so I mean, they had a cattle business. They had a land business. They
Yeah.
owned a pest control company. My grandpa boarded horses. Like, I mean, we had.
Should
I
we
grew
be
up in a.
so surprised that you've got turned into this?
I mean, yeah,
little
it
powerhouse?
just, I came from that of just like, you had your day job and you had your side hustle, and it's just generationally
Yeah.
now. My brother is has his own thing, has his own side hustle, and so yeah, I think it's that environment that you talk about though of where you
Where
end
grow
up, yeah.
That, you were fortunate to have that.
And that
Yeah.
exposure. I'm sure your kids are getting that though.
Oh, they've got a master's degree already in this because they, I don't sugarcoat much. They're on a lot of phone. They're listening to a lot of phone calls. We'll see how much they digest because, of course, they're a little distracted at their age. But I think right now they're starting to listen. Then they start listening. They start asking questions, especially with my youngest.
But they take in more of that. It's hilarious. It's funny to me how much of that they take in. I was in the car and it's Christmas break, coming back, and I had to take a call even though we're on break. And I'm like, hey guys, I got to answer this phone. And my youngest goes, yeah, Mom, it's okay. You take that phone call. That's how you make money.
Thank God.
And I'm like, he's 7. I'm like, okay, you get it, right? You're. It's like, yes, like, hey.
He's gonna have a little SEO. He'll be selling stuff to kids for sure.
Oh yeah, he's already got it. I mean, wants to get his mini X out there. He's already asked if he can drop out of school and go start doing earthwork. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be lucky if I get into middle school is what I'm gonna get. So
That's hilarious.
I think that is so true. I think that scaling the mentality. Did you come from a family of side hustles? You did, right?
I don't know anybody in my family that's had like a regular job.
Oh, wow.
Both grandpas were, millionaires on each side, moving and shaking real estate or this way or stores. My dad is still got 5 or 6. I never know what he's doing or where he's at. I called the other. I was in Dallas yesterday. In Dallas.
What are you doing in Dallas?
So,
I like it.
He's still
Consider
everywhere.
yourselves lucky. I can tell, and I think that's what taken me. That's what took me into my early 30s to finally go like, okay, I got to break.
I could be okay with it.
I got to break the chain of comfort and get really uncomfortable. And believe me, I mean, I went from making really good money. First year I made like, $60,000, $70,000. I mean, well, that doesn't work when you're normally making 3 times, 4 times that.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was, and luckily the resilience from sales and commission in the auto industry where you're 0 to 0 every month, that definitely,
Yeah, that was the first thing my dad told me. He goes, open the newspaper. Look down there, and there was one. It said guaranteed $3,000 a month, and he goes, "This is it. You got to go." He sold cars and everything, and he says, "This is what you got to do."
Yeah.
And it was him sending me off into that world, and
Yeah.
that was his best lesson.
Yeah, well, John L. runs a tight ship, so you went to the right spot.
Our sales mentor was Bob Palumbi.
I remember that name. Yeah.
His son, I think, owns one of the dealerships here, and he was like a super old school guy.
Yeah.
And he,
we were
shaved clean and everything, and
Yeah, Rhett taught us. We were still running 4 squares with Sharpies, all the way through.
all the way through. Yeah. But yeah, what a building block, I
Yeah.
think we are fortunate in that manner because I have a lot of friends that are stuck in that one track mind and they can't pivot at all. They can't.
Well, they can't fathom the risk. Like,
Yeah.
terrifying. I know what I make, and I'm going to make it, and my paychecks are this, and I live off of this.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's your little
And a lot of them
hamster wheel.
A lot of them get trained.
You can't figure something out there. That one's not going to. That's just not going to change for you.
True.
But yeah, they get trained from an early age. You get out of high school, maybe you don't go to college, but if you do, you're still going to get a job. So at 30, 32, 35, whatever, they've already got 10, 15 plus years of 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And to break that cycle is insane for them,
Yeah.
I have one particular friend that is really smart, super genius guy. And he always goes, "What are you guys doing? Like, what is all this stuff and the money and the things?" And I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah.
I know.
That's how it goes.
Or it's a
man.
flyer, man. I don't know. Might work, might not. I mean, we had an extra hour a day. We decided to throw a podcast
Let's do
together.
this together. Yeah. Let's
no.
Yeah, I mean, we pivoted very quickly
I
on
love
this.
it.
We were on a phone call, and Steve said, "You guys should start a podcast." I think 2 weeks later, we were painting this room.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think that's actually a correct timeline.
And it's been great, and I can't wait for the next thing to hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
You should do this. Oh yeah, sounds like let's do it.
Yeah,
But but it's very intentional though. Like we're investing in as much as and all of us in this room have the same thing in common. We're investing in not only what we do as a business, but a brand and a
Right.
personal brand, right?
Yes.
And I think that's something that you do very well.
Yeah.
And you put it out there,
Yep.
and it's your brand. How does that? I know for us what that does. How does putting your brand out there? How does that help you with the deals? What does that look like for you?
And great question. So the personal brand, especially because I've always been sort of like a number two guy, right? I've been I'm usually SVP or general manager or things of that nature. So how do you create your own identity when you're building identities of other people's businesses in those chapters, right? Until you go off on your own and decide to do your own thing. And the brand, your personal brand is a way to do that because it allows you to build, which is its own business. It really is. Now because of what I've been able to scale, even just the social media presence and content and I get 800,000-900,000 views every 30 days on content.
Wow.
That's what it's climbed to recently. And that's a pretty good audience.
Yeah.
And so now you become attractive to other people who are in the similar space. And so but it takes some time and you have to be, you got to put yourself out there, right?
And you're doing all this yourself, right? With everything that's on, you're on the phone, you're taking the pictures and posting
it,
constantly.
And you have to create, I try to make like a decent R-rated movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's edgy enough. We've got we balance it. I try to keep it honestly real time. So I try to keep things. I'm not doing editing and posting later on, so it's a little more candid, a little more raw. There's some great content creators that take a lot of time to create theirs. I really don't. I'm kind of in the moment, keep people abreast to what we're doing. But what that has allowed is when I'm traveling, for example, building Dios Azul, this great brand that I discovered on a job site. Believe it or not, Dios Azul is the tequila I discovered on a real estate job site that I funded. And it's only, 14, 18 months since we started the company. Prior to that, about 6 months of sort of piloting and telling myself it could come together. There's no way I could have done that without having a personal brand to build that platform on, right? Because when it comes to moving into your own lane on any downline you decide to do, the founder's story matters. People follow founders, just like you do with your business. And so they're going to resonate with those personal stories. How did it start? Why'd you think of doing it? Does it fill a void? Are you solving a problem? And is it a good product?
Yeah.
Right. And so as I was deciding whether something like this was one thing I was going to say, and I had done other CPG stuff, like a CBD company for somebody else we launched, water-based, and I brought in 6 SKUs, had worked with some of the best retailers in the world, and formed a really strong team during that COVID era. Okay, so like president of Walmart is a dear friend of mine for health and wellness. He's been retired, but he ran it for 9 years, and he's a shareholder. Former CEO of Fever Tree is a shareholder. Former CEO of Jordan Golf is a shareholder. So when I wanted to put this on the line, when I wanted to bring this to life for real, and funny story on this is my drywaller, by the way, who actually created this for a job. Amazing.
Oh, Pedro.
Pedro Partita, part of the Partita family, wonderful people. I mean, this thing had so many layers of the onion that was unfolding against wild skepticism of trying to go into a multi-billion-dollar industry that's so aggressively oversaturated right now. It was like, don't do this. You're out of your mind. In back of my mind, don't do this. There's no way to work. But it was so damn good, and the story just kept getting better and better. Come to find out, it's 4 generations. It's millions of our own agave plants that's harvested at the right times, and no diffusers and nothing but really good barrel aging from some notable places like Napa and Kentucky bourbon. And I'm like, this story just gets better and better, and it's delicious. So it just sort of became something like, what, kind of an aha Slumdog Millionaire. Like, this is something that needs to be done. It just needs to be done. It has to be done, and we can do it. I can pull it off. And that's when we start forming the brand, and then we start using my brand to create really the team behind it, which this thing has required a really good team, and we have one. So this has been that first, founder, leader role that's mine. and built around my ideology and the
Your
vision.
personal brand got you in the door, got you in the room.
You're
Yeah.
the, you're the
get with some
visible
of them
face.
players.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And now we're dealing with incredible partners like Padres, Petco Park, Snapdragon Stadium, which is the old Qualcomm, SDFC, the new MLS team that just went to the finals, and that incredible team, SDSU, we're the official tequila of San Diego State, NASCAR partners, Dana White partner. For Power Slap and Throw One, his new downlines, so really exciting year of partnerships and level up rooms that we're in, and we're talking to very successful people now, very successful organizations, and everybody always needs a tequila. So you are the guy they call. Like, we're doing a party, we need something. You know anybody? Yeah, we're good. Let's get us involved. So that's been a tremendous rewarding takeaway from what building a personal brand will allow you to do.
Yeah. And putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that how could somebody in construction, right? Maybe our industry isn't as good as putting it out there. I think we try really hard. I know, Jerry, you try really hard to put that out there. What is your advice to somebody who doesn't do that? How do you do that? You just start taking photos, what does that look like?
Yeah, the social media game is like one of those necessary evils that somehow you have to get comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And in construction, it's usually rare, right? So like when we met 5 years ago, I mean, how would you say it felt to be like intentionally trying to build your brand from even when we met 5 years ago when you were doing remodels, I think, only, nothing ground up at the time.
Correct. Yeah. And again, it was putting ourselves out there and being okay with showing up, and it might be the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And that we're not perfect, but we do a good product. This is why. This is, to your point, why we got into the market, what we saw, what the need was. And a lot of it is putting yourself out there. And I think that some people are really good at that, and some people it makes you
scary.
uncomfortable. Yeah,
Very
It takes
uncomfortable.
a lot of time and consistency and just staying with it. And being in it. People, they're going to take away from this, to post pictures or whatever. And you look at any three of us Instagram, there's not just pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, your whole life's on there, and your personality.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, when people have to fall in love. By the way, half of them are going to love what you're doing. Half of them are going to just keep an eye on to see if you fail or not.
Yeah, haters are gonna hate.
They are, and I certainly have my fair share, I'm sure, but a lot more love than anything else, and a lot of inspiration. Like, so I'm sure what you're doing right now is inspiring a ton of people in this market, in this segment of the market, construction, subcontracting, stuff like that, to realize, hey, there's a face behind what you're doing, and people should see it. A lot of these guys are, second generation, or they've been at it 15, 20 years, and there's a story about why they did what they did, why the partnership is what it is, and, taking an hour plus some edit time, every other week or once a month, there's a lot of value there. And a lot of people are scared to take the first leap because they're not going to see an instant, ROI. It takes time to build that.
Yeah.
It's for real, yeah. Being that you have got to that point, have you had people reach out to you looking for mentorship or advice or anything like that, trying to get inside your room?
Yep. Yeah. And some of my favorite guys I follow are coaches. So I've got a lot of great coaches, whether it's Sean Whalen or Keaton the Muscle, or these are great online coaches. And I've and I take their advice as much as I can, and I'm very eager to get to that point. Frankly, I'm in the thick of it right now. So, I'm in the thick of it, and for me, at least in my personal life, I'm the backstop in my family. I lost my father at 16, the oldest of three. Mom never remarried. She's local, and so there's no backup plan for my family. It's me at this point. So it's just like head down, making sure we get to some of that legacy stability financially, and then I can't wait to kind of get back and tell the stories. And we're in the thick of it. We're learning so much on the CPG space, what to do, making pivots, up against billion-dollar players, and we're competing with them. I'm excited to see how the next chapter in the next couple of years really unfolds, because I put myself in the room and I was able to pick up skill sets that I would have never thought I could be an expert in, diagnostics, CPG, tequila, but because of the brand behind it and the people I've been able to talk to because of the branding, I was able to pick up a pretty cool set of leaders and mentors to follow along the way.
I think that's so true.
Yeah. And
What I guess, we've talked a ton about being in the right room, being in the right space, right? Like, what can you share with us of like, what's a mistake you were like, because we've all done it, right? We've all been there. There's the good things, right? Nobody talks about the bad things, right? What's one piece of advice you give somebody if they're trying to figure out what that is, or they've got that itch, right? Or maybe something you didn't do the best that you're like, dang, if looking back on it, this would have served me better if I did this. Do you have any advice when it comes to that as people who are wanting to break out into this kind of entrepreneurial space we all sit in?
Yeah, I think, as a founder, you really want to try to maintain at least your control. I think sometimes you want to be careful about how much you give away. I've had to learn that in a couple different aspects. I'm usually pretty generous on that. And you don't want to create speed bumps and by giving too much.
Too many players, too many hands in the pot kind of thing.
Yeah, because ultimately the vision's got to maintain forward movement, even if you're making pivots to adjust, and that can get harder if you're going to give maybe too many people an opportunity to have a mic. That's definitely something I'm learning here as I get a little older.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. I think there's a happy medium, right? I want to hold all of the cards.
Yeah, which doesn't work.
That's right. Because how are you going to grow a team? How are you going to grow a team? How are you going to get people to invest or to be part of that? Yes.
That's the hardest struggle.
So
trying to win best hand of no Texas Hold'em with one card is very difficult.
Yeah, it is.
You at least want two of them.
That's very true.
So from your perspective, how intentional has the branding been for you guys lately? How intentional has the branding been over the last 10 years?
The branding for us has been very intentional, and it's interesting because we're actually getting ready to launch, sneak peek, breaking news. We're actually launching a rebrand here this year. We're 10 years licensed this year. Oh, yeah. Oh, dang it.
With drum roll?
Oh, it didn't work. Sound effect. We're actually rebranding. Okay. And so I won't give too much away. That's for Steve to tease on social. But we're actually rebranding because we have a great brand. But to your point of what rooms, what clients, who do you want to attract? We've noticed for us, it's like we came from commercial construction. Yeah. And so we have a very commercial, very construction-based look to our logo, to our website, to what product we put out there, of finished quality. And we want to elevate more, to your point, that lifestyle. Okay. And that brand. I was
going to ask, what were you thinking of? What direction are you thinking?
Yeah,
more lifestyle.
More lifestyle branding, luxury, right? That's more what I always equate it, and when we talk about it with our team, our clients, right? We're the Nordstroms of construction. Yeah. We're going to handhold you the entire way. We're going to make sure we're going to put the bow on it. We're going to gift wrap it. We're going to gift wrap it, put it in a box. Do you need it delivered? We'll bring it to your house. It's just that extra mile, that little bit extra effort. And that's what we want to convey. So we've got a whole new website coming out. Yep. We've got a whole new rebrand that's coming out here in about 6 months.
Yeah, good for you. I think that's one definitely huge advice I can give to people is never be too scared to reimagine yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Rebrand. People will say you were this, and so especially in a town like ours, which is a pretty small pond. Yeah. I would consider. I go everywhere. I mean, I do business in every. We're distributing now in Nashville, Miami, Las Vegas, L.A., San Diego for Dios Azul, 4 or 5 incredible markets. So we get an opportunity to deal with big, and this is small. And so it makes it harder because there's a lot of judgment into, that's not who they are. I've known them forever, and this is who they are. Yeah. And I see it even now with some of the greatest success stories in social media now, in health and wellness and fitness and in anything. And it's like who they were is not who they are. And at some point they had to put a line in the sand and go, start selling themselves, this is who I am now. Yes. And I don't care what I've done. This is now who I am and who I'm going to be. And that shows real mature growth in your entrepreneur journey. And ultimately has almost always led to scaling and more lucrative deals and lifestyle. So good for you.
Yeah, I think that's a headspace too.
What do you think? What do you think changed for you guys when you both started showing up consistently? Because I loved your reel, which is, I think it's pinned on the top of your social media, which is a really great story.
Yeah,
How you guys, when one met and everything else. But when would you say that happened for you guys?
of putting it out there.
I would say when you like both started, really showing up consistently together and finding your roles.
Yeah. So I mean, we've always been in our relationship, in our business piece, it's always been both Steve and I. I've been more of the back end player. When he started the business, still working full time, still working for an employer while we got the business going. That was about 2 years. So in the background, it was always, I was doing payroll, I was paying everybody, I was doing it on nights and weekends, and I didn't really have an active role in it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting now, I think, looking at it, I've been with TCI now for 6 years consistently, as this is my full-time job, left, my very stable project management role to move over. And I would say really realistically, though, I would say for me, and I think what people know and people see out there now, I think it's within the last 3 years that people have actually realized more of what my role is. I think for when I did move over, it's like, that's cute. You get to work in your husband's construction company. That's cute. Yeah. Right. And it was like, and a lot of it has been the face. And so it's been interesting because we've gotten a lot more feedback from people of, well, what's Heather do?
Yeah.
And so
I've
been more in
general. You're very dynamic. I've seen your podcast. You did a great job with this.
And it's been more encouragement from people, right? And so it's being okay. And for me, I am not a person that puts it out. You would think, right? I'm sitting here on a podcast. I should naturally be somebody that can put it out there. I'm actually a very private person, and I have a hard time with that, right? I think that's the one thing I look at, like your social media and that ability to put it out there. And I wish I was like that, and that's totally Steve. And so it's been pushing me to, you need to put more out there because people want to see you.
They do.
If there's going to be somebody that's going to call us for a project, 9 times out of 10, it's the wife, right? They want to see, and that's what the feedback we've always gotten is they want to see you. And it's like, okay, I've got to be okay with putting it out there because I do a good job. I'm successful. I know my shit, right? I run work. Like, the guys see me out here.
Mother of two.
Right? And so there's a lot of relatability.
Yeah, a lot of relate. Yeah.
So, and
I think you're giving yourself a chance to do that in a more official way here with the rebrand. So you're a perfect walking, talking example of why it's great to sort of boom.
But I had to be okay with it.
Yes.
And I had to get comfortable in that and sit in that, right? Jerry, you've done
growth.
that.
Yeah, it's
Jerry?
personal growth, and I'm in the struggle with it now. What do we do next? How more do I put it out there and everything? And at the end of the day, it's up to me.
Yeah.
Like it's in here. It's in my head and heart if I'm going to be out there or not, There are all these people giving me all the advice and telling me what I got to do.
Yeah.
And days click by that I don't, and I'm just costing myself future.
Yeah. How do you balance, because I think this is something we take in sometimes from feedback on social media when we put things out there, and we'll hear comments from clients of like, well, you guys don't make any mistakes. You guys are, we see the pretty pictures. You guys are perfect.
Yeah.
How?
Puppies and sunshine.
Right? It's always puppies. It's great. It's rainbow.
I happen to have a puppy, and it is sunny. It's shining today, so
it's applicable today, right? But tomorrow might be different. It was raining yesterday, right? Do you care, or how do you put out an impression to an audience, right? Through your personal branding, that is an impression versus truth, deciding what to share, what that looks like. And what if that clip gets taken into context as not what you imagine? What does that look like? How do you do that? That's probably my biggest fear of putting it out there.
And then you cringe.
Yes. Yes. How do you do that?
Well, especially when you're living in the moment as I do, and I try to live in the moment, and I try to post in the moment. And obviously this space I've been in, Dios, the goal with Dios was to try to infiltrate on premise, which is your restaurants, your nightlife, and then sports, entertainment, hospitality, clubs.
It's a lifestyle.
It was lifestyle.
Yeah, you're selling a lifestyle.
And so there's a couple different ways that we strategize to go to market. And, the longer road is, organically doing samplings at a bar and this and that off premise. And that just takes longer. It will. You're not going to see, and there's not enough eyes, there's not enough sizzle. People don't get to get engaged with it in fun environments and then fall in love and then go off and buy it. So it was, kind of a planned attack to do it the way we've done it, and it's required a lot. So it's also required a lot of ad-libbing and in-moment posting. So, you got to be careful because you can easily fall, if you're doing it that way, you can fall into a trap of becoming too much of one thing. And I think probably a takeaway of this year is like we're making a big adjustment in that, right? When we know that it needs to be adjusted. And when it comes to social media, you want to share enough. I do a more motivational side of things that are typically things I'm telling myself always, and I'm resharing really great, Andy Frisella and Dana White's and, some really good guys that have got some good podcasts. I'm at that stage because these guys are saying things that everyone, one, can relate to, plus they know who they are. And that's my way of those times. Usually if I'm posting one of those, I needed to hear it. Does that make sense? And often my audience needed to hear it. So I keep things mostly positive, real, everything else for now. I'm very excited to adjust and reinvent that motif for me, where we get real raw and real honest.
The real, not just this is a party. This is always a party.
100%.
Yeah.
And we're not there yet. We're getting close. So I'm excited. That's gonna, that'll be a great evolution, right? You come into your 40s. Obviously, I love my 40s. Just turned 40. I won't be 41 actually this month. Now I think about it, it's been a fast year. Time flies when you're selling tequila. But it'll be exciting to get here at the mid 40s and watch some of these really great projects come to fruition and some really nice, level ups and then probably get into a lot more real in some of the aspects. But for now, it's like we're kind of journey based, real world based, balance based, day-to-day based, activity based, and then event based, brand based, call to action based.
Because you can't, if you say something here, it could ruin something you got going on.
It's not that it ruins it, but there's a point where you don't want to distract. For me, I'm at that we'll figure it out stage. We're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. There are problems every day we're solving. The best leaders have them every single day. All we're doing is solving problems. I'm solving problems every day. And, I'm not at that point where, because I'm a coach where I'm not monetizing, my one-on-ones with individuals, which I could probably easily make a great living right now. And I can't wait to maybe add that, like I said, as a downline, to give back, if nothing else, to really try to change some lives. And I do help guys along the way, one-offs. I don't charge people. If they message me, if you DM me, you're going to get a message back. I'm available. That's one thing that is also a super crucial component to any brand building. You better be available, and you better engage, and you better be giving as much as you're asking to receive as far as the engagement with your people you follow. Yeah. And at that point, and I can test, if there's any takeaway here, make sure your time online is spent in a productive way where you're communicating with people that you want to hear from, and they know who you are. And now there's literally nobody that doesn't message me back. And we're talking guys like incredible stories, like Stephen Ellsworth, who just sold Poppy for $2 billion. Him and his wife started. I mean, we talk almost every day. Greg, who just sold Bloom for like $1 billion too. Because those are my mentors now. Who has done it? Who has converted and sold a CBG product in 5 years and 6 years in those northern 9-figure?
As I've got older now, I've met some more successful people, and those successful people are the kindest and most sincere and are willing to give back and will respond to a text or an email quicker than anybody else. All the guys that I know that play this game of the ghost and give it a few days and like they're too cool, those guys really don't have shit.
No.
I mean, everybody else is just, every time I meet somebody on that next level, I go, this is the greatest guy I've met ever, and they're just so sincere, and because they've been with the struggle and they know.
There's no coincidence either, because they were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
No coincidence.
Yeah.
They were available. They also asked for help. They followed the lead. As we all know, success leaves clues. We want to try to follow those and then just execute faster, maybe a little more innovative, and something maybe a little newer.
It's respectful to other people's time to respond as well, as quick as you can. I mean, being available and just being there for the people around you, then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
No.
I responded to you already.
Yeah.
That's
And
next move.
And that is a direct reflection of how often your phone is ringing and how often people are thinking of you in the moment to solve a problem. I mean, I joke because my phone rings all the time and DMs all the time for some of the most obscure things. I'll tell Sierra, my better half, I'll be like, it's got the most random question to ask about solving a problem. And I go, I mean, I actually have the answer to it, but I'm really surprised they thought of me.
Yeah.
So I joke. I say I'm like Red from Shawshank. I've known to come across things from time to time.
Fair to say that you would equate some of the opportunities that you have and that have been available to you based off of that social media presence and putting that out there.
100%. Yeah, really. And of course, I got teased for it for years. Right?
Yeah.
The Laird Life is my social. And I remember when I picked that name in like 2012, I was actually late to Instagram. I was like, I'm not doing Instagram. I'm doing it. Facebook is enough, for crying out loud. And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, I might as well do it.
Yeah.
So I do it. And I go, what am I going to put on there? Rob Laird. I'm like, I really like I liked my life. I remember I was in the Keys in Tahoe at the time. My kids were young. It's 2012. I just had my second. And I had liked what I had kind of built. And so and I felt like it's balanced. It's very work focused, but we also run, friends, family, fitness, health, and business. And I said, Laird Life, boom. And Laird is, a Scottish strong name, love it. And I was proud of it. So that was where that came from. So, but then it became a tease. It's like, oh, Laird Life. And then now it's like,
But now you've done it.
but now I've done it, and now Dana White will message me back when I tell him how you doing this week, how's everything going? Just candidly, he goes, oh, we're doing great, appreciate you. And that doesn't happen for most people.
But that's getting over the hate.
Getting over the hate and becoming relevant. I hate to say it, but you have to kind of become relevant. Right?
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get someone with 1 million followers to communicate with you if you got 1,000. That's just the way it is. Right. And so if you can build yourself up to where you're bringing value to the audience, your audience, right? And they start to kind of pay attention. They'll actually pay attention more than you think because these guys are on it, right? They're social media guys too. They're on it. And they'll see the consistency. You're liking a comment, you're putting a comment in. You're not just hitting a like. Put a comment in. Take 2 seconds. Put a comment. They'll see it. I promise you. I mean, Mario Lopez loves every one of mine and responds back. I love Mario. Mario, if you're watching, let's get lunch. And that's kind of so that's been fun with this product, especially because I've climbed quite a bit this year. Probably added another 20,000 followers or so. So I'm just at that 100,000 mark. And the engagement obviously is climbing. Visibility is climbing.
Yeah.
And of course, all the events have been pretty epic. So everyone's wondering, where the hell is he going to be next?
Well, now that you're almost 41, are you afraid of the getting older and kind of aging out? And maybe some new, not the Robert, comes in and swoops everything away,
Boy, I'll tell you what, this generation behind us has got, they got their work cut out for them. Well, I'm not that worried. Although I do love that we're, our strategy, of course, is to leverage all the parts of the market, right? So it's nice with this particular brand, different than real estate, or even the peptide and hormone treatment, which has always been 35 to 45-year-old males. It's now I'm open to Gen Z, and now I'm relevant to Gen Z. We're working with some of the biggest influencers in the market. Between Miami and some of the guys out of Vegas. Between the Happy Dad team, which has done a phenomenal job with the Nelk Boys. So we're kind of dabbling in this Gen Z influencer space, and because we align and we're all in the same room, a lot of times you're picking their brains and you're starting to see like what is this generation going to bring to the table on the side of branding, marketing, sales, execution that we aren't thinking of. Because we were just not raised with that. An iPad in our hand.
Right. Yeah, we didn't have that.
Like
in our
I'm
face.
Still trying to figure out ChatGTP, which is actually coming along nicely. I think it's very, very helpful. Anyway,
You're saying we're millennials. We're getting old. I think that's the overarching theme here. We're all.
But I think we're going to have so much great advice to give these guys. Because they're. I think they've forgotten that there's still blue collar opportunities out there and fundamental. Ways to build business as opposed to just SEO and likes and stuff like that.
Fundamental, word for it.
Let's get out from behind your screen and go to a cocktail party.
And then when you add those two
needs
together,
Then it's
that's
yeah.
when you're building your brand.
Yes,
100%.
that's what the theme has been of the show, right? It really is, to your point, it's not just behind a screen. It's your relationships. It's who you know. It's that back to sales, back to the car sales, right? And being able to be okay with that and walking up and having that conversation. I think that the generation behind us doesn't quite value the person to person as much as we had to growing up.
I reiterate, like, I can't make money at home. I got to be out. I have to be out. Got to be on the street, and it never fails who I run into, when I'm out of town.
It's a numbers game. Sometimes the more people you talk to, the more something's going to pop up.
100%.
Somebody's going to love you. And if you connect that to social media, the more you put out, the more hate, but the more love.
It is.
So if you're on the street and you're on the Instagram and you're on every other thing, and I mean, the numbers add up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
People
they don't
see
lie.
you.
And the numbers don't lie. There you go.
They don't.
It's always a contact sport. Where would you say, Gerald? Because I've been asking you a lot of questions.
I know.
I like to do this, but I like dialogue in these things.
Yeah.
That's it.
You could.
Yeah. Where have you seen brand open doors that experience alone might not? So brand
Opening doors.
Yeah.
For me, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, this last year, I've only been into, the social media and growing, I guess, a brand and all that, maybe 3 years. There's my marketing guy right there, and he's been with me ever since. And just the little bit that we've done locally has brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, and it's just started. And it is construction. It takes a long time to get going. You bid something, and it might be a year away before you see it, and you got to bid 10 to get 6. So I could see it's opening a lot. I mean, open the door today for you to be here and everybody else.
Yeah. And I build, so I know I get to. I mean, it's funny is I don't have a drywaller other than Pedro, but
Pedro's busy now making tequila. He's not on the job site anymore.
I'm trying to retire to Pedro.
Yeah.
So even in infancy at 3 years, I think that's a good takeaway.
It's like, so, in 26, we're going to add a second level to that, to keep going, and complete the circle, whether it's podcasts or this social or that social or this interaction or that event. It's just the same as it was 15 years ago. When we're talking about being out on the streets, because there was none of this 15 years ago. You had to go up to a door and go in and say, hello, here I am, and go all day and hard like that. And that's what I did when I first started, and it worked out. Then I got comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I go, oh, shit. And then everybody's, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I go, all right, fine.
Yeah.
I'll do it. And I did, and it's doubled down. So I'm going to keep doubling down because we've only got, as we are in our early 40s, we've only got a short window left where we got to play hard and fast, to make it happen.
You say that like you're going to hang it up. Let's be real. We're all going to keep chasing something. It just how hard you want to keep going.
When I get that age, I don't want to have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to choose
I agree.
to.
Oh, yeah.
And so
the
right
goal
now,
you hopefully want to be 50 doing things just because you want to.
Yeah,
not because you got to make sure.
Yeah.
But you're going to keep doors open. You're going to still want to, you're still going to be in on the deal. You just don't want to be the person doing the paperwork.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Hopefully funding the deals by then. That's the idea.
Yeah.
That is
yeah. Good takeaway.
I agree. Well, I think this has been such a great
Did we knock through an hour?
discussion.
Went fast.
I know. We're good.
How'd you do it? Because you had
chatters
we had some great framework here, by the way. Very good framework, you guys.
Hey, that's a shout out to Steve.
We got a little off, but that's not much. There's
There's a lot to cover. I think we covered a lot.
There's forever between the small talk and the layout. I mean,
I'm really blessed to have it's a lot. And I know one of the questions on here I don't think we got to is, the one thing the branding has allowed is in opening myself to learning different sectors of the market is now there's nothing I don't know now as far as like top level markets, whether it's pharmaceutical, CPG placement, SEO, real estate development. And so you're able to bring a lot of value to your conversations. And so now when you're out and you're putting yourself out there, I think that's what people need to remember. You need to just make sure you can try to bring as much value to those mixers or whatever, outings out, whatever you put yourself into. Like, try to become as much of an expert in as much of the markets as you can, and then just bring some value. And it'll come back to you tenfold. And then those deal flows just, are never ending.
Agreed. Yeah. Well, before we wrap it up, you want to give us Dios Azul 2026 goal? You want to?
Yes.
Yeah, where are you guys going?
Yeah, so we're in 4 really exciting states this year. Launched really, really hard. And now this year we get to sort of lean in and really scale out all of those distribution routes. So, this, because it's a lot like the car industry where you've got kind of a 3-tier system, it requires a little bit more focus as soon as you get those doors open. So this brand should be, based on how great it looks, we have an updated bottle that's in the works already that should come into execution by Q2. We have 4 incredible SKUs: the Plata, the Repo, the Añejo, the Extra Añejo, which you guys didn't get to have today. And they're remarkable. Okay, so if you are understanding why we did, I decided to do this, it was because wholeheartedly it's the best tequila I've ever had, and that tends to be the response to 99% of people. So super healthy stuff. That's a backbone of who I am. Is try to maintain nice balanced lifestyle and healthy, so we can do this for a long time and enjoy our kids. And Dios Azul definitely represents that, and the team's done a great job. So we're got a lot after us, a lot ahead of us this year, but an exciting foundation after this year. So
and you nailed it at the Nugget. It was placed perfectly. I did not have to look for it very long. I didn't have to look down or too far up. So
good shelf space.
Eye level there, yes. All the Nuggets here in Sacramento have it, and then of course we've got some great general markets as well, like Lake Forest Wine, El Dorado Hills, and then all of Folsom Lake Spirits, Wine and Spirits. There's like 4 of them in there, and then we've got more retailers coming on here in spring. So we'll keep everybody posted.
Exciting. Yeah. Where can everybody find you if they're checking you out?
If they can't, we go to drinkdiosazul.com or diosazul.com, and then drink Dios Azul on social media, or follow me, shoot me a DM, and I'll shoot you off a little discount thing so you can buy it online and have it delivered.
What's your Instagram handle again?
Laird Life, Lairdlife.
I think this has been awesome. I think it's been a great conversation of really
so fun to catch up after watching you guys really kick things off from doing heavy remodels and the ground up beautiful construction. So congratulations.
Thanks. I appreciate it. One thing we do at the end, though, this is going to be a dead giveaway. I don't even know if I'm going to check my phone, is that we try to figure out who's more important in the room. People think because I'm a GC, people call me. I think after this discussion, I think we already know who's going to have more phone calls and texts. I for sure think that you are going to win this. So I need you to tell me, how many phone calls and texts did you get during this
actually, I do not
recording?
Do not disturb on, so it didn't vibrate in my lap.
I'm definitely the loser today. Well, for sure.
I got.
What do you got?
I got 4 texts and 2 calls.
Okay, boom. I'm not bad. I've got 7.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. Not bad. Here we go.
7, 2, and then hold on, WhatsApp.
Oh man, he's got international as well.
Not bad though for 11 o'clock on a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday. Yeah. Now I got 2. Okay. So yet again, our guests are more important than us, Jerry. They always are.
Hey, you never want to be the brightest person in the room. So you guys, it's perfect.
I always just joke that it's like, what's on who's gonna have to step out of this room to go put out a fire.
These are gonna stay here for you. So I hope to see them slowly drop with each guest. We took a shot just
that's
before.
a good idea.
Yeah. I like that.
We have a shot at each beginning.
Loosen them up a little bit.
I'll play that. Yeah. I was
always better.
A minute ago.
We're gonna do one right now as soon as we get off the game.
That'll be awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
All
Great
right.
talk.
Yeah, definitely.
And everybody listening, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, the iPhone podcast, everywhere you can go. Like, follow, send them to your friends, give us comments. Everything helps. As you learned today on this episode, we need all the feedback.
Yeah, all the traction.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome.